Women on death row. The two women that you see here appear to be very joyous, happy, and even sympathetic, but do not be fooled. These are Tiffany Cole and Amelia Carr. They are condemned murderers who committed terrible acts and now waiting for the execution. They are at the Lowell Correctional Institute, the only unique prison for women in the United States with its own death row. In this video, we will show you what a day looks like there and how life is so hard to these condemned women behind the walls of Lowell. Brace up to discover something very fascinating, starting with a quick sight of this institute. This correctional institute at Lowell was opened in 1956 and is in a county called Marion in Florida. About 1,500 women are locked up here, including adolescents. While many of these women prisoners are there for diverse reasons, they do not need the maximum security as things are different in death row section. The women locked up in this section have committed heinous crimes, so horrible that they were all condemned to death. Amongst them is Tina LaSonia Brown, who awaits her execution for 15 years now. In 2010, she attacked an adolescent with no reason, tortured her with an electric-propelled pistol, poured petrol on her before burning her alive, killing this innocent life. The other inmates in the death row section are also there for a rightfully. Almost every one of them have taken the life of another person. You do not need to complain that they have been put up on death row. It is, however, shocking to see what constitutes their daily routine. It is mainly characterized by isolation, violence, and fear. While other parts of the prison offer educational activities and rehabilitation options, the women on the death row section have none of such benefits. The concern being that none of the prisoners knows when the moment of error could occur. They spend an average of about 20 years on the waiting list before time comes. Last year, Margaret Allen, who brutally killed her servant about 20 years ago, was dead of natural causes while waiting her execution at Lowell. As the women on the death row section in Lowell Prison are only informed of their execution date a few weeks to the date chosen for execution, they have no other choice but to only adapt to the new mode of life that they now have behind bars, and this is not easy. The day generally starts at around 6 a.m. when the light turns on in their tiny cells, where they are generally locked up alone or with a maximum of one other inmate. The guards patrol in the corridors and watch to make sure that all the women are there. Then the guards would serve the inmates their breakfast through tiny holes on the doors so that they eat alone. And it is never a good way to start the day, as they do not have a god breakfast. The breakfast is often made up of eggs on toasts that they eat and drink coffee on waking up. After waking up and having breakfast, the women on death row section have the right to a maximum of an hour on the playground. Those that cause any trouble would have a lot less time outside or no time at all. The women would therefore not be able to enjoy their relaxation time in the lawn, as they would meet some of their co-inmates in very aggressive moods, or generally very disturbed. Frequently, the inmates who have been jailed for horrible crimes become more aggressive, brutal, and ruthless during their long stay in the death row section than they were before getting there. This is partly because there is no medical aid for those with mental health problems, so fights are very frequent during walk-outside time. Meanwhile, the violent inmates are far from being the only problem on the death row section at the Lowell Correctional Institute. There is another serious problem for which the inmates there describe. The place as a hell on earth. The guards, contrary to what you may think, the penitentiary personnel are not just made up of women, but men who also take advantage of the fact that the women are helpless and at their mercy. After the walkout time, the inmates need to return into their cells and stay there until lunchtime, and can only be called out for diverse reasons or appointments such as meeting their lawyers, family visits, phone calls, or going for a shower. Each woman is only allowed to shower 3 times per week, and there is neither intimacy nor security cameras, neither in the cells nor in the shower rooms. Whoever does not want to be punished with the most severe isolation conditions, for somewhat invented reasons, must do what the guards ask them to do in these dark corners. We are prey, it like a lion with a bunch of gazelle, a perfect breeding ground for abuse. This happens frequently, not just sometimes. According to reports, some women have to submit to be available at the service of some guards to be able to obtain basic commodities such as toilet paper or medicine. Some cases are even more severe. In 2019, One of the cases became public where a woman at Lowell was attacked by guards so brutally that she became paralyzed. This is systematic in the death row section at Lowell that even the Department of Justice of the United States concluded in a report a few years back that there exists a systematic abuse of inmates by personnel, and this is against the law. Nothing has changed since then. In fact, it appears that the guards have not stopped their attacks. The inmates are simply prevented from signaling such incidents. The prison directorate done nothing anything either. They simply turn their attention away and attempt to dissimulate these incidents. Even a former guard has admitted how bad things are happening in this prison. Even though these terrible conditions were made public several years ago, there has been almost no consequences to the personnel involved or even dismissal. This is simply because it has now become very difficult to hire prison guards, especially since the pandemic. And now that someone has to do the job, the correctional employees have to remain there even with very serious accusations. After the lunch, will later come dinner, which is served earlier, where the women on the death row sections will again eat alone in their cells till the lights are turned off, and that is when the women can either read books or write letters or listen to the radio. Watching TV or recreational programs are only available to the prisoners out of the death row section with lesser security measures in the penitentiary. For rehabilitation, these prisoners can work on animals in the farms and help raise rescue dogs or undergo a training course to improve on their educational level. As you can see, the daily life of the women at Lowell is incredibly monotonous, as the routine is the same and due to the aggressions from other inmates, guards, or other detention conditions. Some inmates are rather relieved when they are informed of their execution date because they have been waiting for too long and now it ends. After years of poor food and boring lifestyle, the inmates can now request a meal to have on their execution date. Anything eatable is authorized, but its budget must not be above $25 in total. In Florida, where the Lowell Correctional Institution is located, the law allows two executions methods: the injection method or the electric chair method. The latter is only used if the condemned specifically requests for it. Death by lethal injection is the standard method, and after their last meal, the condemned are led to a small cell where they are attached to a small chair and a medical personnel member will administer 3 injections. The first is a sedative, the second paralyzes the body, while the third provokes a cardiac arrest. After several years of waiting on the death row, this execution process only takes 10 to 20 minutes to complete.
They don't want to do that time. They want to be done. They want to be out because they cannot handle doing that time in isolation with no control and absolutely no freedom.
The next person who will witness such an end at Lowell is probably Tina LaSonia Brown, mentioned earlier. Till this date, she affirms to be innocent to the murder that she is condemned for, but was just present when it happened. Thanks for watching. This was World News Reviews. If you liked this video, please subscribe to our channel, like it and click on the notification button so that you do not miss out on future videos.